Assessment will be done by a third party appointed by the Director General of Employment and Training, and they will conduct the assessment. If you pass the assessment, they will reimburse your entire fee as well as training expenditure. So there is no expenditure on your part at home. And then you get the certificate by a national council called NCVT, National Council of Vocational Training, which is almost worldwide recognized body today. So that is one modular employment skill program, which I feel that it should be having good spread through the institutions, like even including colleges, universities, or the IP or any other such institutes, etc. Because it has got a very vast scope and it is very, very practical in nature and very easy to implement it. And perhaps that type of program can only meet our demand or our requirement of 550 millions to people to be trained as skilled manpower in this country. Thirdly, though everybody cites an example when it comes in the context of Indian economy, agriculture sector, 3.5% population of US is feeding the not only US economy or US population, but maybe population of India also to some extent. But whereas here we cite example of 60%, 70% population toiling in the dry farms waiting for the monsoon rains, but still they are not able to feed us adequately. Why it is happening so? Basically, it's the technology. It's not that our people are not skilled or they are less competent, less knowledgeable to produce. But one side, they don't have the technology, other side, they don't have the resources. So this technology and resource crunch is basically what you might have heard in the past. Of course, as of now, it has not surfaced again, the farmer suicide. Today, while coming here, I was going through one of the newspapers. I found that for want of appropriate technology and training in the post-harvest technology, we are losing almost 500 billion rupees produce, agricultural produce every year. Can you believe it? And what you require is nothing. Very simple technology of how to transport the produce, how to store the produce, where to store it, how to segregate, how to grade it, how to pack it, and how to make it available to the consumers. And then it reminded me, on the other day my wife brought one packet of oats, what they call, I think, white oats. Earlier I used to think white oat may be different from the Indian oat. But when I went through the prescription what was there on the packet, it is exactly the same Indian oat, which has been, I think, some processing has been done. And the cost of that oat is 120 rupees per kg. Of course, packaging charges, processing charges, everything. And even today, if you go to the market, either the Indian oat is not purchased by people for the self-consumption, because they feel that it is only meant for goats and goddesses, not for the human beings. And the cost is less than 10 rupees per kg in the market. So 110 rupees, our middle class, our upper middle class is incurring more expenditure on consuming the oat, which is packed, which is processed and packed by somebody. Now that shows that a small amount of technology which can go into the processing and packaging can yield so much potentiality for the employment, self-employment, and at the same time the wealth which is created can be shared by the farmer by consumer and the people who are engaged in the processing and packaging and transportation or marketing, etc. So that being the case, I think agriculture is an example, perhaps may be cited, to show that we are very poor in technology, we are very poor in productivity, we are very poor in resources. But at the same time, if we concentrate, this can be an area which can really fill the gap in creating the sort of hub for the generation of the income for the poor people in the rural areas, and at the same time it can provide a boost to the economy. One more issue which Professor was raising is about the demographic dividend. I was very glad to hear from him that even China is not going to be a dividend, but perhaps maybe a spoiled child story. In fact, today, it's not that we have followed any healthy population policy, but it has come on its own because of some permutations and combinations that we are the youngest nation in the entire world. And we are going to be not only today, but in the next, they say 2022, means almost next 13, 14 years or so. That being the case, I think we should take advantage of this dividend. We should have a policy of skill development, sustainable policy of skill development, because most of these people, to be very frank, whether it's the ESPAL committee report or any other report, they are not going to be in the schools or the colleges. The country is so vast, the resources are so scarce, and at the same time, the knowledge about the acquisition of the skills or the education is not getting that much priority in that level of strata of the population. It's going to be a difficult proposition to see them in the schools or graduating from the colleges, but at the same time, skill development is an area which, with the private initiative, with the initiative of all the entrepreneurs in the country, can be taken up on such a massive scale that it can really make a dent in the entire economy. Today, the demographic dividend is not the demographic dividend alone, but it's the economic dividend. The skill makes a lot of difference. We are talking of outsourcing. I think if I could understand, there was one very fine sentence which was used by Professor. I don't know whether it's true or not, but offshoring, outsourcing, a buzz which started in the 21st century only. Why do they why do they prefer to still have the Indians in the IT sector? Not because the Indians are or can be treated as cheap labor for the IT industry. No. They are more productive. They are much more productive than even Americans there. They are much more productive than any other nationals who are going as IT professionals or to whom they are engaging as IT professionals. And this is the only factor in the entire globe today that we are dominating in the IT sector. So it's a question of productivity. It's not the question of cheap labor. It's not the question of low remuneration, but it's the question of productivity. The moment we make our people productive, definitely they will be sought for not only in this country, but they will be sought for in any other country, including the US or the European economies. Recently, I happened to read in the newspaper, Professor David may, I think, throw upon some more light. in the United States, in the United Kingdom, to maintain their systems, they are spending almost about 35 billion pounds or something, some amount, just to maintain the system, not to develop any package or any software, etc. And they feel that if the same maintenance part is given to the Indian companies, Indian IT companies, the expenditure will come down to 50%. I'm not talking of development, I'm talking of maintenance of the system. If that being the case, what is such great with the Indian companies? The greatness is in the skill, in the productivity, that yes, they don't spend 1 pound to maintain one system, but they will spend only half pound, 50 cents. So if that being the case, I think time and again our Prime Minister said we are a very great nation, we should feel proud of ourselves, but unfortunately that message is not percolating down to the grassroots level. That message is not going to the common man to come up and say, yes, I need the training in so and so thing. To tell our ITI teachers that why are you training us in the ambassador model, which has become outdated in 1958. You must put the new cars which are there on the roads today. We want to learn about the new cars. That kind of urge, that kind of realization has to come from the masses, from the people, and particularly from the young Indians, and then only the nation can really become the great. One more thing about the university system of education. Of course, YESPAL committee report is there. I hope something will pave for the IP also to rise to the occasion if they remove the system of UGC or AICTE or any such kind of thing. But we would like to involve such kind of institutes for designing our skill development programs in the department, because today a hype is created that there is a recession in the economy. But when we see the figures in any manner, we don't feel that there is any recession in the Indian economy. Where you see the employment outlook, you see the growth percentage, you see the wealth generation, everywhere, maybe little less than last year because our exports have come down, but exports have come down not because of the Indian economy, but it is because of some other economy. So if that being the case, we need such kind of institute who can really have some sort of framework of research, some sort of job survey unique to the Andhra Pradesh with reference to our capabilities, with reference to our infrastructure. And from government side, our government is very progressive, that we want to spend the money to make the people earn as much as possible by getting skill development, by getting placements, and by doing the self-employment sort of things, etc. But the people must become productive to the nation, people must become productive to the state. That is the sort of principle we have adopted in this government. And we want that a galaxy of such intelligent students and the research scholars should give us, based on the model propagated by Professor David, that this is the plan of action for you during the next 3 or 4 years, or during the 11th 5-year plan of the country. So I request Dr. Mishraji that they should venture out and have some sort of dialogue and the discussion with the department. We want that this today's guest, what we call the such kind of distinguished speaker, should not feel after 2 years that nothing has happened when he has spent 1.5 hours energy here. We want to make it as really a role model, and we want that something should really happen, because we have got the political will, we have got the economic support, and we have got the actual demographic dividend in our state today, which if it is not properly utilized, the dividend will become disaster also. So thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir. I think it is one more elevated speech, right? I don't want to give you an opportunity to ask questions because the questions could be asked after the session is over if all you have any. A lot of questions have been asked. Some have been answered. Some of the questions that Dr. David had asked earlier have been answered. Still, the crux comes to the gap in the skill requirement, the skill that is developed. As he said, we are going to talk about the trade center of excellence, and we are going to be of an automobile industry, and we are going to be discussing ambassadors. Yes, we are. I think something is wrong. Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful speech, and I'm sure that we have been having discussions with one group of people wherein we thought how IT is to play a role in reducing this gap of employability of a person. What he gets when he gets out of the college and what's required for the industry. We have been working on it, and I'm sure that with your encouragement, what you have given, you'll be approaching you shortly for see where exactly it will fit in. Thank you very much, sir. I may request our guest of honor, Mr. S.K. Lal, to deliver his address, please.
Sir David Finegold, Mr. Bhavala, IAS, Professor R.K. Mishra, Director of Institute of Public Enterprises. At the outset, let me thank Dr. Mishra and the IP for giving me this opportunity to be with you and hear a distinguished educationist, researcher, and multifaceted personality like Dr. Finegold and share some moments with you. I must compliment the IPE for organizing this kind of lecture and having people from three diverse fields, from education and research, from administration, and a die-hard banker on the same platform. Why I am saying this is that two words we have been hearing repeatedly from our previous two speakers. One is education and the other is skill. Now, a question came to my mind whether we are confusing institutional learning with education. Why I'm posed with this question is that one of the recent surveys of graduates seeking employment, it was found that on the employability factor, about 23% were found deficient. So there seems to be a disconnect between institutional learning and the industry, whether it is services industry, whether it is manufacturing industry, so that after spending the best part of your lives, you are faced with a situation that industry needs something else or something more than what you have learned in the institutes. I would like to share with you what I think is the industry looking for when they seek to employ educated, literate people. We have the IITs, we have the IIMs, we have medical colleges, and now you must have come across some people from the IITs and IIMs who are in the Indian Administrative Service and who have acquitted themselves very well, become a role model. Same is the case with financial institution. Now it is not only commerce and economics, which attracts people to the financial sector. So it is becoming a multifunctional kind of skills that the industries are looking for. You are maybe specializing in a particular field like HR, other areas, marketing and all. But when you enter the big bad world, then probably you will need to know a little bit more about other spheres also. I mean, that is what distinguishes somebody who becomes successful in his career and who is not so successful. Now, you must have come across some examples of young MBAs who have specialized in marketing, moving on to HR or moving on to commercial side. So that is the kind of skill that the manufacturing as well as the services sector they are looking for. Now, I have also, been a part of certain selection processes and all. We have the CVs of all the candidates. So far as your IQ is concerned, there is absolutely no question there. You have come through a very grueling process and you have come out with flying colors. So that part is taken care of, assumed to be above average. But then, what is the thing that is being judged there? It is the attitude, first of all, that you display. Whether you have a positive attitude about various issues, whether you will be a part of the problem or a part of the solution in an organization, whether you have the attitude and convey it through your spoken word as well as your body language, that you believe in, I can do it, that will be a show of confidence. Not only I can do it when it becomes